Hi kids. So, as some of you know, I'm in a study group with some of my friends in San Francisco, a Tai Chi study group on Zoom. And it's the one class that I'm doing for my own education during this pandemic craziness. And boy, am I learning a lot from the simple exercises of the bung. And so I want to share them with you. And because I'm realizing what a fantastic tool, what a fantastic teacher the bong is. So let's start with one of the first things we do in the Spiral Power, which is a shoulder circle. And we're going to play with it. So take your comfortable stance and just take your shoulders circle. Either leg forward. Comfortable. Check in, spread your back. Energy going up the front and down the back. Body straight, shoulders down. And then take your shoulder circle. And let's really exaggerate it so that you go to what feels like the full range of your shoulder circle, and it just feels so good to move in that range. You can even sort of just feel like a pushing into the ground. So this is not adhering to the Tai Chi principles at all. But I think it starts to address the fascia. So when you find a tight place, just sort of fill it out. Use the movement to help fill it out until it doesn't feel tight anymore and it feels open and available. And then take the opposite direction. Just take it really big. Use your arm to pull out your back. Always in your own comfort level. Just think of it as your fascia getting more elastic. And take the other side. Real big. So you can really open the chest. Maybe your back hollows out a little bit, but you want to stay safe. So if you're having back issues, don't do these big movements. Just till you feel like everything's pretty open. And reverse. You can use this arm drawing forward to open your back. Of course, don't forget about the other side. Okay, now let's do it just a little smaller. Just a little smaller. But you still feel that the shoulder is what you're highlighting. So the shoulder, you're turning it like a wheel. It comes closer to the ear, it goes behind, it goes down towards the pelvis, it goes forward towards the chest. So the shoulder blade is sliding along the rib cage, which is what it does. It slides along the rounded surface of the ribs. So maybe you can feel that. Again, lengthening the arm. Lengthen, 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 lengthen. Feeling that dropping down through your spine. Try the other side. the shoulder blade sliding around the nice greasy ribs. The foot pushing the shoulder up, the ribs opening, the ribs closing, the ribs opening, the ribs closing, reverse. Okay, pause. Now, take your shoulder circle again, but make it quite a bit smaller so that it's not coming all the way up, going all the way back, going all the way down. Maybe about 50% of what you were just doing. In a way that, I don't know how to describe it, the shoulder feels like it's part of everything else, rather than, oh, I'm moving my shoulder relative to everything else. Does that make sense? So it's more integrated, it's smaller, it's much more subtle. You won't feel that delicious stretch that you get from a large movement, but you'll feel something else. It's quite satisfying, I think, because the movement becomes more global. Yeah, the shoulder's moving, but the shoulder is moving everything. Try the other direction. So you still feel the shoulder blade moving, but there's a place where it picks up the rest of you and brings it along. Or is it the rest of you that's moving the shoulder? Which is it, right? So, more subtle. Now, let's try the other side. Find the smaller, comfortable range. Where if someone were to push you, the shoulder would go make a small circle. You can even push yourself. You can push yourself. Because if the shoulder goes way up, you can feel on yourself, shoulder goes way up, you have basically lifted yourself, you've lifted the skeleton off the ground because you've detached the shoulder girdle. Well, the shoulder girdle, that's another anatomical discussion, but when you lift the shoulder, you can feel it. It lifts your chi up, and you start to leave the ground, and you become more mobile, in one sense, and in another sense you become more unstable. So you have to struggle to recover from this. So just keep it where the shoulder's making a circle, and if you gave yourself a little push, you would just go back, and it's no big deal, it's not a big movement, you're just deflecting you're just changing the straight line into a circle. The straight incoming line of force, you're changing it, you're meeting it, and you're turning it into a circle. Try reverse. You might even take the arm was a stick, if the arm was a stick and there was a wheel somewhere on the leg. Pause. Now, could you think of your, sort of chase your awareness in to the ribs in front, your sternum, and your back muscles, the ones that pull the shoulder blades together and open the chest. And maybe it's easier to do this with both shoulders to start. Could you take both shoulders in circles away from the center, but sense the chest bringing the shoulders in and the back bringing the shoulders together in the back. In such a way that it doesn't disturb this feeling of uprightness through your spine. Ow, ow, ow. I just got nailed. Ow! And I just got the stinger. Okay. That was the sentinel. That bee has sacrificed himself for the greater good of the hive. Ow! Okay, carrying on. I guess I got a little too close. Note to self. Okay, so where were we? Where this is all leading. Let me take you to where it's all leading as my face goes numb and I relocate my camera. Alrighty then, we've moved a few hives over to an inactive spot. So the point that I wanted to make was this bong exercise, which we visited a few sessions ago recently. So you've got your bong with the palm up in one hand and the palm down in the other. And you've got the middle of the bong in the middle of you. And then you're going to sit down and then turn the bong. You can pull it with the hand that's down and you can push it with the hand that's up. And this is close. You're closing. Not closing, but you're closing, and you turn a bit. Now, this movement where we pull the bong, or where we drive, actually we think of pulling it, you can think of driving it. Today we're going to think of the pulling hand. So you close. Then the pulling hand, you may have been doing this already, but the pulling hand pulls because the shoulder makes that small circle that is connected to you. So if you close, make a shoulder circle. Make a shoulder circle. Boom. Then this unwinding again happens from the shoulder but not the shoulder. Can you see the difference? So we could do, that would be a very bad habit to get out of quickly, because you can feel in yourself, if you're unwinding the bong, and you turn to face it more as you unwind it so that it can come right up your center. So there's a lot going on, and a lot of different ways to think of it until you get the whole global picture and it all merges into one. So if you're pushing from the back leg, facing your bung, you push and you fill your back and you hollow out. So there's one aspect of it, the leg pushing, the spine rounding, the forearm staying attached to the bong because there's a leverage point. You're getting out of a grip. You're going forward. You're going a bit forward. Now, that's how I've always thought of that movement. Pretty much those 1, 2, turning, hollowing, sticking to the bong, and then sitting down. Yesterday, the teacher said, Michael Shea, who is amazing, the shoulder opens. And he's been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, in sort of, shoulder leads the elbow, elbow leads the wrist. And, you're like, yeah. And I wasn't connecting it. But then I felt it yesterday. And if you take a little circle, can you feel? It's almost like the shoulder stays down and makes a circle, right? It doesn't disconnect from the rest of you. It is it's like this, not this ball makes the circle, yes it does, but this whole quadrant of your chest makes the circle, which then connects. It feels so connected. It's rather than this. It is a unique feeling. It was new to me, and I think one way you could help yourself find it is how you use this hand. If you keep your shoulder down, as you push the bong forward with the top hand, the shoulder, it could go up. That would be a very uncomfortable moment, and your opponent would welcome that moment in you. But if you push it in such a way that you say no, the constraint is that the shoulder stays down. So if I am connected and the bong moves, then something's got to get out of the way. And the shoulder makes a circle. That side of your chest makes a circle. You can feel the shoulder blade. It's not a large movement, but it goes through all of you, and it feels quite connected. Does that make sense? So, sorry I don't have the words for it, but I just wanted to pass it on while it's still fresh and we can explore it. So let's just take a few movements on the one side. Hand down, hand up, sit down, relax, spread the back, relax the chest, body straight. You can fine tune, find your center line, your plumb line, and now close, close, shoulder circle. Push with the leg, shoulder, so light. Your contact is so light. You're listening to the bong. Shoulder, down, shoulder. You see the shoulder moving in this circle. Sends a message to this foot through the back, through the Mingmen. Close, shoulder, shoulder pulls, down, shoulder pulls, shoulder unwinds, but keep the forearm lightly just kissing the bong. Close, open, close, open, close, reset, close, Note to self, don't practice near the beehives on a hot day when they're very active. Okay, we are aborting this practice. Bye-bye. Okay, I do not know what this stuff is. It's green. It doesn't smell good. And I think the bees were telling me to get out of the orchard. Now, this is the kind of social distancing I can really get behind. Please lie down on your back. Let's do a Feldenkrais lesson. Since we got chased out of the cherry orchard by toxic goo and angry bees. So just sense how you're fitting on the floor. Take a moment to get comfortable. Stretch out your legs. Or not. You can have your knees bent and your feet standing. Noticing your breath. And beginning to tune into your interior more. And feel how the floor is pressing into you through your back. And now if you were to roll to one side or the other, which side would you choose? Just spontaneously, without thinking about it. If you were to begin to roll onto your side, which side do you go towards? And then bring yourself back. And go there again, and go there more slowly. You don't have to come all the way onto your side, just the beginning of rolling onto the side. And notice what are the different elements that bring you closer to the floor on that side? What parts of your body make contact with the floor and caress it and roll over it and find support for the movement of rolling towards your side? And then go ahead and roll all the way onto your side. And pause there. Big accomplishment. And then bring yourself back. And then repeat that process of slowly rolling onto the side and listening to how the various pieces, parts, portions of your body make contact with the floor and use the floor to come onto the side and feel the floor pressing into that side. And then as you begin your journey back onto your back, sense how the tissues of your back contact the floor, and then continue over on towards the other side. You don't have to go all the way. And come back. And now, what is it about your original side, the first side, that's different from this side? Continue exploring, rolling towards this new side. So did you choose the side that was easiest or that felt more congruent to you? Easier first. Then go ahead and come onto your side on this new side and pause for a moment, acknowledge what might be different. And then slowly come back onto your back, and then without pausing, without resting, you just reverse. You reverse and you go back onto the other side. Slowly, comfortably, easily. And then bring yourself back onto your back and pause. Please stand your feet again if you lengthened down your legs. Have the knees balanced over the feet a comfortable distance apart. And now, if you were to raise one foot away from the floor just a little bit, so think of drawing the knee a little, as though to bring it towards your chest, except you're barely going to make the movement. You're going to make such a small movement that the foot might not even come away from the floor. So let's start with the right foot. And can you draw the right foot away from the floor and notice how heavy your foot feels? How heavy does the leg feel? And when do you feel, or do you feel at any moment that you use effort? You use effort to lift the foot. Does it feel like a strain? And continue doing that. Continue thinking of pulling the foot away from the floor, maybe no more than 1/4 of an inch or an inch at the most, and then setting it back down. And if you feel at any moment that your foot or leg feel heavy, don't lift. Don't even lift it. Just set it back down. Think about how you might better organize something in your interior. The interior changes its shape. You change your relationship with the floor through the back. And the foot it's as though it was levitating away from the floor. Search for that quality and don't go any further if you don't feel it. So if at the very beginning of thinking of lifting your foot away from the floor you feel, oh God, go back. Take a breath. Change something and try it again. Okay, so how lightly do we want to be lifting the foot? Let's do a comparison test. could you bring your arms down by your sides? Your feet are still standing. Your palms are down. And could you lift your right index finger away from the floor and then set it back down? Now feel how light that is. So light, weighs nothing, a feather. So the finger lifts and the finger sets down, just the right index finger. So light. Now that is your measurement of how light your right foot must feel before you lift it away from the floor. So try lifting the finger and say, okay, that's very light, setting it down, and then using that memory of that lightness of your finger, seek to bring your right foot away from the floor in a way that feels just as light as the finger does. And you can alternate lifting one finger, lifting the finger, then lifting the foot, and finding that quality. We're looking for a quality here of complete lightness. Try lifting the finger and the foot away from the floor together. The foot is so light you can't tell the difference between it and your finger. And could you lift the finger and the foot away from the floor at exactly the same moment? And could you touch the sole of the foot and the finger pad down on the floor precisely together? Okay, take a rest. Lengthen down your legs. And now sense, is there a difference between your right and your left? Does the floor press into your back differently, one side compared to the other? Please draw up your knees again and stand your feet a comfortable distance apart. Place your arms down by your sides and bring your awareness to your left index finger. And just pull it away from the floor. Just lift it and set it down. And with your breathing, you can inhale as you lift it and exhale as you set it down. So the finger keeping time to your breathing. And so now with that same quality, that same feeling of lightness, could you pull your left foot, the sole of your left foot away from the floor? And you only get to lift it if it's as light as your finger. So you can go back and forth between the finger and the foot, feeling of ease, and stop the moment you feel like, just don't. So what could you do differently? What could you do? What if you pressed? You might be doing this already. What if you just lightly increased the pressure of your right foot against the floor? Slowly, slowly, until you feel something changing through the back, something changing in the contact of your back with the floor on the left side. And it might be that you could then lift your foot away from the floor as though drawn by a string at the knee. So is there any sense of rolling across the back of the pelvis? Is there any sense of the lumbar maybe coming a little closer to the floor on that side? If you begin to press the right foot into the floor, what is the first thing you notice that changes? And as you do that with the intention of, at a certain moment, the left foot could come away from the floor as lightly as your left finger. Feel what that moment is like and what you're doing in your interior. Try lifting the finger and the foot exactly together. Always keeping time with your breathing. And then lengthen down your legs, and take a rest. And now if you were to roll onto your right side again, and then come onto your back and roll onto your left side and come onto your back, slowly, what is the quality like now? Is there a little more cohesiveness? A little more unity between the two sides? What do you do differently? What sort of information do you get from the floor? And when you're ready, you can bring yourself up to standing and feel how the floor comes into you. And we'll continue exploring this lesson at a later date. Thank you.